People like to come to me because I have a foot in both worlds. So they trust me. If I was only just an herbalist, they might not trust me as much if they come with a significant health problem or they're on multiple medications already. So I always tell people I'm not fanatical. The modern medical system is good, especially if you're in crisis. If you get hit by a bus, have a heart attack, please don't come to me. Go to the hospital, right? And it's got a narrow view. All it has is surgery and pills. So what the rub is that modern medicine tends to tell people that drugs are the solution, that pills fix you. And most of the time, that's not the case. Often why they come to me last, because they were hoping those pills would be the solution, and they're not. I'm not getting where I want to be, taking everything that's prescribed for me or everything that I read about. Even though I did all the right things, I'm not right. I don't feel great.
This is StRest. I'm Kerstin Lindquist, health coach, author, and Emmy award-winning TV host. I've committed to helping people reduce stress through impressive health science, attainable mindset change, and biblical truth. Let's have a real conversation with zero judgment and endless solutions that you can use. You aren't alone. You can do this. Let me help you reduce stress and make room for rest.
This episode of StRest was recorded live in the Himalayan Institute in the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania. My friend and I had discovered this place and thought that it looked amazing. Great vegetarian food, a very simplistic way of life up there where you did yoga and massage and a lot of breathing work and breath work and biofeedback. And we said, let's go and let's talk to one of the doctors there about Ayurvedic medicine, the Ayurvedic practice, and how that can complement Western medicine. So we brought in Dr. Carrie Demers, who lives on campus and works at the Himalayan Institute up in the Poconos. She's a board-certified physician in both internal medicine and integrative medicine, but she's renowned for her holistic approach to health and healing. She spent over 2 decades helping individuals restore balance and vitality by blending both that modern medicine, all of that science, and then these time-honored traditions. We answered the question, what is Ayurveda? Can it be used in conjunction with modern medicine? The answer is yes. Can it be used if you're a Christian? Because a lot of people think that it's all Hindu or that you have to pray to Buddha, and then none of that is true. So it's wonderful to be able to really clear all that up. I actually studied this just a little bit when I was in school. It was one of the classes that we had to take to get our certification as health coaches. And I remember learning about doshas and really trying to understand what it meant for our bodies, and especially women in perimenopause and menopause, because our bodies change when it comes to the doshas and what we need during that time. It's a wonderful conversation. We approach things like ancient herbs and adaptogens and how they can help you, ashwagandha, shatavari, turmeric, saffron, and so much more. We talk about stress in Ayurveda, but I think that the biggest takeaway that you're going to get from this is that if you're working with your regular GP, your doctor, and you have a chronic condition, you most likely need to look at some side of Ayurvedic medicine as well, this holistic approach to how your body is responding to what's going on around you. I can't wait to introduce you and to bring you to the Himalayan Institute in the Poconos Mountains with Dr. Carrie Demers.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. It's just getting good.
So sure, the holidays are supposed to be all joy and happy, but oftentimes they're chaos and cortisol, which is why I don't turn to alcohol or comfort food, but I do turn to adaptogens. And the place that I go is Elevate Organic. Now, ashwagandha you probably heard about. That's one of my favorites. It helps with stress and sleep and recovery. But the other powerhouse is shatavari. It's ashwagandha's hormone-loving sister. It supports balanced mood, energy, and yes, all of the fun things that come with perimenopause and menopause. Together, ashwagandha and shatavari are a powerhouse adaptogen stack that keeps your nervous system calm and your hormones in check. Everything from Elevate Organic is USDA certified organic, and they have exclusive use of organic SRI 81 shatavari and regenerative organic certified fermented KSM 66 ashwagandha, which is the highest quality, most clinically studied versions on the market. You can find these adaptogens in their delicious gummies, capsules, and even protein powder. Elevate Organics products can be found at Sprouts and other independent retailers nationwide, or on their website, elevateorganic.com, where promo code Kerstin20 saves you 20% at checkout. That's KERSTIN 20 at checkout at elevateorganic.com. And have a happy and calmer holiday. Dr. Carrie Demers, we're here. I'm so happy. I feel like it took a minute. We are currently at the Himalayan Institute in the Poconos. It's pouring rain, but it's beautiful.
It is.
Tell us your history of this place and you within it.
So I'm a physician. I'm an integrative medicine physician, but I wasn't when I came here, really. I finished my residency in internal medicine. I didn't like medicine. I began seeking what else was there. And I found a teacher that taught me homeopathy and like holistic medicine, like principles. And he sent me here to learn from a guy that used to live here named Dr. Rudolph Ballantyne. And then once I came here and started studying, the director here said, "We need you, move here." So I said, "Okay, I'll move here." So I'd studied homeopathy and Ayurveda and yoga, and then some herbalism and massage, and all that happened in like really fast in like 2 years. And then since then, I've been here for 30 years. I've been running the wellness center here and seeing patients in a holistic way, primarily through the lens of Ayurveda.
So what does that mean? What is Ayurveda if somebody doesn't know?
That's right. Ayurveda is the ancient system of medicine from India. Like Chinese medicine has traditional Chinese medicine. It's about 5,000 years old. This is the India system. It's about 5,000 years old. And it's called the sister science of yoga because they both arose in the same time period in the same location. And they have similar principles or intentions about health. So Ayurveda would say, yeah, everyone should do yoga, stretch and breathe and find your inner light and connect with something bigger. That's good. And Ayurveda really says, pay attention to your nature. Like we all have a given nature, and our job is to live in harmony with that so that we are well and vibrant and use the unique abilities that have been given to us.
Is it a religion? Is it a spiritual practice?
So it's not a religion at all. Um, Ayurveda would, because it's holistic, it's going to want you to take care of all your parts. So your body, your energy, your pranic, your energy body, your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. So it would want you to do that, but it's not like saying become a Buddhist or become a Hindu. It's really wanting you to go inside. So in that way, it's linked to yoga, which is also not a religion. It's a philosophy, really, and practices that bring you inward. And the idea is that when you go inward, you connect with something much bigger.
If somebody were to try and grab some Ayurvedic practices within their journey to be well, what are some of the things that they would do?
Oh, there are a lot of rules. All of them, and all of them I buck. Except the thing that Ayurveda is adamantly unapologetic about is we all need a routine. We need like a bedtime and a wake up time and a time to eat and a time to exercise and a time to like rest and breathe and like de-stress. Like everyone needs those things. And then based on our constitution and our age and how stressed we are, we might need to tweak that. But to have a regular routine of basic stuff it's all about that. It says, get up in the morning and scrape your tongue. Like that's a typical Ayurvedic thing. Like our mouth is a detox organ, and all night long we've been digesting and trying to move the toxins out, and they come out their mouth. So it says, get up and scrape the gunk off your tongue first thing because you don't want to eat that stuff. It's trying to get out. And then it would say, drink a bunch of warm water to help your rehydrate, but also help your bowels move. So it's all about that. Got to have a good bowel movement every day, got to get the waste out. And then it might say, go do some yoga. because stretching our bodies helps us stay agile and strong and, whatever, vibrant, move the stagnation. And they would say, maybe you meditate or do some kind of spiritual practice. So come in before you start your day. So there's a way that daily routine of kind of cleansing and centering could be seen as part of an Ayurvedic routine. It's called Dinacharya. That's the word for it, Dinacharya, daily routine.
In Ayurveda, and I always have a hard time
It's
saying
think about hair
Ayur,
dryer.
hair dryer, very good.
Ayurveda.
You've only been saying that for 30 plus years, so
I'm
obviously you
trying.
know. There is this concept of the doshas and what your constitution is. Explain that to us.
Yeah. So okay, in a nutshell, and I give this lecture hundreds of times. And I love it every time because it's so fun. Okay, so the idea is that the whole universe is made of the same elements, like earth and water and fire and air and space, which is very similar to Chinese medicine. And those elements they're condensed into three, what are called dosha. And those are vata, which is air and space. So think about wind. Pitta, which is fire, basically, and kapha, which is like earth, wet, moist earth. So all of us have those in us, but we tend to have one of them or two of them that are most dominant in us, and that they can give us our talents and abilities, but they also give us vulnerabilities. So our job is to know our doshic balance so that we can live in harmony with it. So I'm gonna tell you more. Is that okay? So like vata, so wind is, and this is why I love Ayurveda. It's so like tangible. It's not like memorizing facts. It's like, you know what wind's like. You've been out in the wind. What's wind like? It blows you around. It's unstable. It's cold. It's drying. It's when someone has lots of vata in them, they might be enthusiastic, like effervescence. Think about the fizz and seltzer. That's vata too. All that bubbling up, excitement, enthusiasm. But it's also ungrounding and drying and cold and destabilized. So when we have vata in a positive way, we're like you. We're enthusiastic. We're full of life, But when it's out of balance, then vata creates like restlessness, anxiety, ADHD, dry skin, creaky joints, arthritis, osteoporosis, all kinds of things that are about aging, really, but about nervous system jangle, about lack of groundedness. So I'm going to stay with vata for a minute because vata is all about stress. um, and the way that we balance that wayward dosha, if I have too much vata and the way we balance that is to give that dosha the opposite of its nature. So if its nature is cold, it needs warmth. So warm food, warm clothing, warm environments, whatever, warm drinks, right? If cold, I need warmth. If I'm dry, I need moisture. So that could be hydration, but also could be oiling, putting oil on our bodies. And Ayurveda is all about oil, like oil on your everything. I got oil everywhere because oil is what keeps our tissues elastic and vibrant. So you can put oil in your ears and your nose and all over your skin to keep your tissues really, just youthful. So oil, so you've got moisture, you've got warmth, then you've got stabilizing. So how do we feel more anchored when our wind is blowing, right? So we do things that are grounding. So it could be a yoga practice. It's about standing poses, but mostly it's about breathing. It's about finding comfort in our nervous system. So how do we, we modern medicine, we have a nervous system, an autonomic nervous system that can be activated, which is where we live most of the time in our go, do, think, analyze, engage with the world space. We call that part of our nervous system the fight or flight system, but it doesn't mean that I have to be scared. It doesn't mean that I'm on, right? And we have to shift to the other part of that nervous system, which is called the relaxation response, to really feel grounded, safe, and restored. I always tell my patients, you have incredible power to heal yourself inside. But if you don't shift to that relaxed state, you're not accessing it. So if we're always going, doing, thinking, and a little bit anxious, or a little bit, like untethered, we're not really accessing this incredible power we have. So vata, back to vata, needs to breathe and relax and ground that overactive nervous system. The same is true with pitta and kapha. So pitta, fire energy, is going and doing and thinking and like not so effervescent as the vata, but very much mental, organized, linear, getting stuff done, and our culture loves that. And when pitta gets too up, it gets inflamed. So all inflammation is like too much heat. So, and we know all about that from our modern medical perspective, is that every chronic disease now is caused by inflammation. So too much pitta. And then kapha is this dense, heavy, earthy, but which is grounded and great and stable, but also prone to inertia and congestion and kind of accumulation. So they need the opposite things as vata. They need to invigorate and go and move and, whatever, find vata friends and do things that are more fast. Right. So anyway, so so that was really long, but the big picture is that when we identify what's out of balance, we give that dosha the things that move it toward balance, which are usually the opposite of its.
Why is it important for us, or why would it help? And let's use the idea of a woman in middle age. Why would it be important for her to understand what she is in terms of vata, pitta, kapha?
Is that I feel like I'm empowering people, that you don't have to come to me to figure out. I mean, I'm happy to help people, but I'd rather you get yourself. So you go, oh, I feel really stressed out today, or I'm really hot today, or I'm really congested today. Oh, that, and I can label that as a certain dosha, and I know what to do for that because I've been here before. Or Carrie told me, and drink ginger tea when you're all congested or something. I have, there are tips, or there are ways that you can navigate yourself. It gives you more autonomy, more competency, but you don't have to. You can come to an Ayurvedic doc or a naturopath or an integrative medicine doc, and they'll tell you what to do. They'll tell them. They won't think necessarily in Ayurvedic terms, but you can get direction. I mean, modern medicine's all about do what we say. Don't think on your own. Let us tell you what to do. And I kind of bucked that system way back when. I didn't like that. I want to be collaborative with my patients. I want them to understand how I see them. And then they begin to trust their bodies instead of doubt their bodies. Again, this sort of um, the power that people feel when they actually embody, when they feel like they are one with their body, and they choose to take care of it, like a beloved pet. They choose to take care of their body like it really matters, and they feel better because of it. It's so like, okay, we're on the same team here. Instead of like, people feel really betrayed by their bodies when their bodies don't work how they want them to, and then it's like the body's, doctor, can you fix that thing over there that's not working right? And it's kind of like this disconnect as opposed to a joining. So it's a long answer to say, I feel like what I'm looking for is for you to understand how your body works, so you know how it's how to best serve it, how to best support it. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. So what's a situation in which somebody would be seeing a doctor, not getting answers, maybe have chronic conditions? When should they turn to a more of a Ayurvedic way of looking at things, or come to somebody like you who puts the two together?
Well, ideally it'd be earlier than later, but most of the time it's later. I mean, people come to me often when haven't gotten the answers that they want from the conventional medical system, whether it's an autoimmune disease or some kind of chronic fatigue or something where they're not getting help from what that system can offer. But ideally, we're not. So as a species, we're not especially proactive. I mean, some of us are, but most of us aren't. People wait to feel pain or some kind of problem before they actually seek care, or to consider even if their lifestyle is suiting them. I mean, it's kind of nuts, but we expect our body to just work, even if I'm not getting enough sleep or I'm not eating that well. We just keep expecting our bodies to show up and perform for us. But so in a way, when people have symptoms, it might be their wake up to like, oh, I need to take care of this friend or this amazing vehicle that I'm driving this life.
So where would you start? Somebody comes to you, let's say you use autoimmune as an idea, and they're just not getting answers and they're not getting relief. Where do you start?
Well, I start with understanding who they are. I spend a good hour and a half with people when I first see them. I want to know the context. How did you get here? So often it's a story of how they grew up or what they've been through in their lives and how that wired their immune system or their nervous system and how that's part of the problem, you know? Um, and then after a history, then I'm always looking at that lifestyle piece because that's foundational. And pretty much I'm a um, unapologetic advocate of breathing deeply. um, when it comes to everything that matters to us, like our digestion, our immunity, our mental clarity, our sense of peace and whatever faith. I feel like breath helps with all that. Like when we calm down our nervous systems and we practice that over and over, we're building new neural circuitry that supports that state. That makes sense? So, like, I feel like there's been a surge of neuroscience interest in the last, decade? So now we're like, oh, neurocircuitry is like now in everybody's tongues. Like, wow. So we know that our nervous system is plastic and that we are wired based on what we've been practicing. So if I'm practicing anxiety, I have really good neurocircuits that support me being anxious because I've been practicing it a lot, right? But if I practice breathing and feeling calm and grounded, or maybe I practice prayer, or I practice, I don't know, stretching or running or whatever, I build circuits that support those actions and that mental state. And then I can be in a whole different state. And that that mental state and that nervous system state is what determines everything else. My immune function will calm down. When I'm stressed out, we have more inflammation, you know, and, you know, and it makes sense. If I'm stressed, I think I'm in danger. So my immune system, which is my army, is now ready to fight for me. So of course it's making inflammation. That's how it defends me, is to make inflammation. So once we tell it, calm down. There's no danger, then our inflammation inclination calms down. So I feel like yes, I can give people turmeric and other things that are anti-inflammatory, and I can help them change their diet to be more anti-inflammatory diet, and I can do all kinds of things. But really, what I'm after long term, which takes practice, is get them to change how they breathe and how they think.
It sounds so simple. Just calm down and just breathe.
It is. We're complicated. The idea is simple.
But at the same time, if you tell somebody to calm down and breathe, like that just makes them more upset, right?
Well, especially if they're upset to begin with. You have to practice breathing when you're not upset. You have to do it like not in the middle of a crisis because you can't find your breath. You're like, what do you mean breathe? Like, I'm like quenched. I can't breathe right now. There's too much happening. Right. So you have to breathe when you're not in that crisis moment. So you have to like first thing in the morning or before you go to bed or something and you practice. And then as you practice, it gets easier and easier. And the goal is over time that it becomes our way of breathing all the time, our unconscious way of breathing. Like, think about how kids are. Most kids, little kids, they have little bellies and they're breathing in their bellies and they're full of life and humor and curiosity. And they're, that's what we want to be like again. But as adults, we somewhere in, I don't know, third grade, we were taught to suck it in. We took a ballet class or we were stressed out or our parents were arguing or something happened. And we clenched. And now we're clenching in our bellies and we're breathing here. We inhale, our chest lifts, and our stomach goes in, which is wrong. We should be filling up and our belly should come out, which is like, I remember being like whenever I first learned this, I was probably 35. And it was like, oh, someone might be looking. My belly's kind of come out and someone's going to notice that I'm not as flat as I should be, all that indoctrination in our society about what women's bodies should look like and how we shouldn't have any kind of stomach. So breathing in our bellies became like a taboo thing. But the truth is it's healthy to breathe in from our navel, to inhale, use our diaphragm muscle and have our bellies fill up as we inhale and then empty out as we exhale. And our chest just stays a lot more calm and the breathing happens lower down. And that is a relaxing experience. That's telling your nervous system that you're safe when we breathe like that. And we breathe here and we breathe erratic and high in our chest, we're telling our nervous system that we're in danger. So it triggers that stress system. So it's simple and it's hard somehow for us to like make time in our day, a minute there, 5 minutes there to like rest and breathe.
I did the biofeedback,
You did?
which was it was remarkable. Like, just, um, I loved all the information. Glenn was fantastic. If you guys ever come to the Himalayan Institute, Glenn was amazing. Um, but yeah, like that's my prescription. And I do yoga nidra, in the afternoons if I'm, wired, tired, all those things. And I do yoga once a week, but I need to do 5 minutes of breathing with a sandbag on my stomach in order to really get that diaphragmatic breathing and help my HRV. Like that was the big takeaway.
So even though you do that yoga nidra, so what do you do when you do nidra?
When I do
Yoga nidra. What are you doing when you do
So when I'm doing yoga nidra, I do like 10 minutes or 15 minutes on like YouTube.
is it just more like visualization?
Well, it's like focus on your right arm, focus on your left arm, like that kind, right? Sometimes I fall asleep.
Right, but it's not breath centered. It's not saying anchor in your breath.
No, and I think that they maybe say that in the beginning of it, but it's not like that's not the big focus, right? The focus is, at least for me, is just to relax and unwind and have it kind of be like, this is the end of my work day. Now I start the mother work, like that. So, but I need to be focusing more on the breath.
And so you could link that to what you already have great habits. Like link the breath to what you already do with your yoga nidra practice. Like just add breath. You're already doing the right thing. It's great. Really great.
So one of the things that you said really hit me while I was in the biofeedback session and I'm learning about the breathing. And as somebody who's done breathing before, like I've had podcasts with breathing experts and I was trained as a yoga instructor. I've done breathing before, but what I noticed that I was very uncomfortable about the push your stomach out piece of it. And I don't consider myself somebody who has major body images. Like I love my body. I'm grateful to my body. I work hard. I sleep well. But the pushing out of the stomach, it's like, this is not what we're supposed to do. Oh, I feel fat, or oh, I feel uncomfortable, or oh, I feel. And you're right. It's because we are trained to hold our stomachs in. We are trained that isn't like, that's not a attractive part of your body. But I think that that's also breathing within us, um, a kind of bad relationship with your body. And I'm sure your cells are picking up on, oh, you don't love me. Oh, you don't appreciate me. Whenever you're looking at your stomach and saying, no, that's bad. That's fat. That's unattractive.
Right. It's a thing, isn't it? There's not a lot. I mean, so first of all, you're not pushing really your belly out. You're actually relaxing using your diaphragm muscle and letting the belly fill. It's almost it's a it's a relaxed state as opposed to working to push something. You're using this diaphragm muscle and it's contracting downward, which makes it feel like you're inflating it into your low belly.
Well, so maybe that's it. And
Yeah, it's
we're
just
a lot of us are never actually relaxing.
right, exactly. We're used to holding that abdominal wall taut. And so we have to relax that and let it expand, let it be bigger. You're right. And there's a aversion for sure. And all I can say is, you know, like let's just deprioritize that look. I keep uh, men never have to work. I mean, I shouldn't say it's much more uncommon for men to be really caught up in that flatness, that holding it in. So if we're allowed to be full, we're allowed to take up all the space we need to take up. It's a head thing. Yeah.
You're allowed to take up all the space that you take up. Like that's very beautiful when you think about it. Never minimizing who you are.
Right. Don't shrink yourself.
Yeah, don't trick yourself.
Yeah.
How do you balance, you were trained in Western medicine as a doctor. How do you balance that with like
All this woo-woo
Ayurvedic
stuff.
herbs? Yeah, people would say woo woo herbs. And I think, and the way that I teach is the main components of your wellness are how you eat, how you sleep, how you move, and relationships and spirituality. Not one really being more important than the other. One being more important than the other in certain times of your life, but not so that relationships and spirituality part is just as important as how you eat, how you move, and how you sleep. So you have those key components of your wellness, but in Western medicine, it's a Band-Aid, let's give a pill, let's fix. And in Ayurvedic, you're really focusing on those, but there's also things like herbs and breathing. Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah. It all it always depends. And people like to come to me because I have a foot in both worlds. So they trust me. If I was only just an herbalist, they might not trust me as much if they come with a significant health problem or they're on multiple medications already. Um, so I always tell people I'm not fanatical. I'm like, the modern medical system is good. It can do, es- especially if you're in crisis. If you get hit by a bus, have a heart attack, please don't come to me. Go to the hospital, right? And it's got a narrow view. All it has is surgery and pills. And so expect to get that when you go to see your allopathic doctor. That's all they've been trained to do. And maybe some, you know, probiotic by now, because that's in their psyche now. Um, and so I have to see, it's like I'm assessing, where is the opening? Where's the place this person is open to change? So would they do a 5-minute breathing practice? Could they play around with do an experiment and get rid of gluten for a month and see how they feel? If they feel different, you know, would they take an herb that helps them relax their nervous system or helps it fortify their adrenals or help them sleep better or help them digest better? I mean, I have to like assess and then in my own mind, make sure what I'm giving them is not going to interfere with anything they're already taking. That drug herb interaction thing. So they're coming to me for something, and I'm trying to meet them with whatever they're capable of right this second. So I tell them, this is a beginning. This isn't the ending. Let's start and see. Because so I'm all about, you're a scientist and this is your laboratory. I'm going to give you some experiments to try and you see if they're good for you. There's not like a right, wrong, good, bad thing happening here. We're going to see if it's useful or not useful. And that's what I say about everything. People read, oh, I should be doing intermittent fasting. I should be doing all raw. I should be doing, but what, keto. I don't know. It's an experiment. It's not like you must. So I get in that frame, that headspace of I'm going to try something new and see where it takes me. Um, Sorry, I mean, look, every person's so different. But just so you know, I do a lot of research. Someone comes to me, I'm looking for modern medicine to support or tear down what I want to do. I don't give a person on the spot, here's what we're going to do. I usually take that history and I say, I'm going to get back to you in like 3 days. And then I'm like, pour over it and I figure out what I want to do and make sure that it's backed by whatever, everything I know and everything that I don't know. Like I'm always learning. I'm always learning because people come to me with weird things that I've never heard of sometimes. Like, what? What kind of cancer? What's that? Like, I have to look it up. I see, like, what is this thing? Um, and just to comment, what you said about relationship, I didn't say it I said Ayurveda really cares about these kind of pillars of physical health, sleep, and you said sleep and food and exercise, and I said stress management. But that really matters too. I ask everybody about their relationships, their faith in something bigger, because it matters so much that people have, think about how anxious people are when they think this is all there is. This is it. I would be terrified, if I didn't believe in something bigger was happening. So, and I tell them, I'm not here to convert you. I'm here to invite you in to a peaceful place inside of you and you see what you experience there. So the same way, it's an experiment, practice this breathing practice, or maybe it's a nidra, or maybe and people go, wow, it's really, I haven't ever been this still or this quiet, or it's kind of nice, and over time people feel something, or they can. And then if they're interested, I'll say, how about a meditation practice? How about a whatever, something that leads them into more of a spiritual place. But it's fun. It's really fun.
That stillness can be, but it can be really hard in the beginning. A lot of people have a really hard time with that stillness in the beginning. It's uncomfortable. They're not used to it. And it's such an important thing to be able to be in stillness and to be able to be in surrender as well. I would love to talk for a second about different herbs, if you're willing. And I love the idea of, and something that we talk about on this podcast all the time, is bio-individuality. Everybody's different. So we can have experts on that say, this is what you should do. You should do keto, you should do fasting, you should do this and that. And I'll always say that's what worked for that person. And you have to play and be curious yourself.
Curious
And
is the word. That's a great.
yeah, curious is an amazing word. And so you can't take, okay, this is great for everybody. Now there are some supplements that I think most people are probably going to be great at, but not all. So when we talk about herbs, it's the same story. So I'm going to throw a couple herbs at you, and then if you have any more that you want to add, let me know.
Great. Yeah.
Um, shatavari.
Yeah. So shatavari is in Ayurveda, it's thought of as being a woman's tonic. So it's used, so just to back up, herbal medicine is usually a formulation, not one herb. So we're used to modern medicine where we take this pill and that's it. But in herbalism, usually it's a family of herbs coming together that support each other. Maybe one's warming, one's cooling, and together they make it more neutral. One's more, I don't know, stimulating, one's more calming. But they end up being a more neutral form when you have several of them together. So I never use this shatavari by itself. So it's in formulations for like PMS or for menopause, or so it's usually in those women hormone balancing formulations. It's considered an adaptogen, which means it's a tonic. So I tell people, modern medicine and herbalism, that there's a lot of similarities. Like there are herbs that are anti-inflammatory, there are herbs that are antibiotic, there are herbs that are antispasmodic. I mean, but there's no parallel in modern medicine that's just tonic. Like that's like a foreign idea for most clinicians. Like, what? What do you mean? Like a vitamin? Well, kind of. Um, so these are thousands of years old. They're in all systems of medicine, ancient medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, even, Western herbalism. These are been around for hundreds and thousands of years. So it's a tonic. So, and what's nice about that is tonic herbs are generally safe. They're not cleansing. They're not pushing your body they aren't pushing your liver to make more bile. They're not doing something that's harsh to you. They're like fortifying. So they're fun to play with because I feel like there's not a downside really. It might do nothing, but it might really shore you up in a way or balance things out. Yeah.
What about ashwagandha?
Yeah. So those two things, ashwagandha and shatavari, are like the king and queen of Ayurvedic tonics. So ashwagandha is more thought of as being virile, and shatavari is more of that of being feminine. But anybody, actually, the truth is, men can take shatavari and women can take ashwagandha. In fact, ashwagandha is probably the most popular one around. So herbs are weird. Herbs can have multiple effects, right? So we're used to having a drug having one effect. Well, herbs have multiple constituents, so ashwagandha is thought of as being like strengthening. I mean, ashwa means horse. It means like the virility of a horse, like power. And it's good for sleeping. Right. So the botanical name of ashwagandha is Withania somnifera. So somniferous means sleepy. So somehow in that fortification of our nervous system, it helps us drop our attention and sleep. So it's fortifying and yet somehow supportive of sound sleep. Not wild.
Are shatavari and ashwagandha tonics and herbs that you frequently say people should be using or try?
What I use a lot of in the last probably 10 years since I went through menopause, right, is they're called adaptogens. You've probably heard of that. Adaptogens are herbs that help us adapt to stress. So they're tonics for the adrenals and the nervous system. So they actually help build our capacity to manage stress, which is a phenomenal thing. Tonics, nourishing, fortifying. I think the first studies of them were like the Russians, tried them out in their army to see if they had more resilience on the battlefield back in like the 40s. So things like, and there are different categories of adaptogens. Some are more energizing, like rhodiola and ginseng are more energizing adaptogens. So they're not, um, how to say, they're not exhausting. They're not like stimulants that make you feel, frazzled and depleted, but they're supportive to energy. And then some of them are more like grounding and sleepy. So more like, so I would put ashwagandha actually in that. Um, um, I think of like the mushrooms, like reishi. There's a bunch of like milky oat seed and gaduchi, all kinds of. Yeah, so there's so many. There's dozens of them in every system. So I tend to use formulations that are adaptogenic as probably the first line of almost everybody that I see. Because if I can help your nervous system balance out, then your hormones are gonna come back in balance, and your sleep's gonna improve, and your headaches might even like, your GI tract might improve. Like, if I can just get your nervous system more balanced, everything else tends to move in the right direction. I could give you 5 things, 1 for your GI, 1 for your gut, and 1 for your head, and 1 for your joints, but let's just start here. So that's often where I start with people, is that let's just get your stress system more fortified, more anchored. I was told a story, that for a new physician, I think it's some Chinese, phrase, like, for a new doctor, there's 100 ideas for every patient, and for the old doctor, there's 1 idea for 100 patients. I think I'm putting myself in the old doctor category now.
Well, I think you start to see what works, and while we are all bio-individual, there's also a huge commonality in being human, and especially being human in this century, in the world, and what we have to deal with, and the stress that we have to deal with. So, I think that that's pretty good. What about, the other ones that I've been interested in lately are, saffron and turmeric.
Yeah. So saffron, I know it is a great spice and a female tonic, but also it's more, used now for depression, right? Depression, I have a few patients that take it for helps her mood. Um, it feels calming, somehow uplifting. But I don't use it a ton, so I don't have a ton to say about it other than that I've my patients teach me so many things. I'm like, "Oh, good, you're it's helping, great." I didn't prescribe it, but I'm glad you found that. And I use a lot of turmeric. Turmeric is like there's so much data now on it. I mean, yes, Ayurveda called it a joint tonic, basically, is good for strengthening the joints. But now there's so much research in the modern world on anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, so I use it a lot, but you have to take it in a way that helps it digest. You can't just take turmeric. You have to take it with spices and with a fat because it doesn't digest it doesn't get absorbed very well. So yeah, I'm an advocate. Well, plus I take it myself and I feel like it helps me. So most of the time I take things first before I prescribe them. So I feel like I
Called me search.
yeah, me search. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a fan. At least it's worth an experiment for people.
You mentioned menopause and what how again, you are a Western medical physician, plus you're also an Ayurvedic practitioner. What do you see hormone replacement therapy and Ayurvedic practices? Do they go together? Or is it one of those situations where it's like, absolutely not, you can't be on HRT, you should only do this, or you should only do this and this?
So I am eclectic. If you were to go to an Ayurvedic doctor who only does Ayurveda, they might say it's my way or the highway. And this is why I feel like Ayurveda is a little bit like modern medicine. They're both like think they're right. It's only my way. And I'm like, there's good in all of it. Um, so it's back to this. It's you. It's your life. It's your experience. Try it. We can try. I mean, I've had people start with hormone replacement and then over time lessen it and play around with their lifestyle and their stresses and maybe a little bit of herbs and find a way to get off of it or wean down. And I've also had people try the herbal thing and then say, "This sucks. I'm taking HRT." Like there's no right. Um, we want to feel like we're healthy and vibrant and happy and smart and like sexy and sexual and all that stuff. We want to have all that happening for us, and whatever supports you need to help you do that, great. Whether you're 50 or 71, I don't know. It's all good. I have a really wonderful patient who's been coming to me for a long time, and I've told her I'm not a primary care doctor. And she says, "I don't care." You're all I need. I'm like, okay. And she's on hormone replacement, even though she's like, I don't know, probably in her late 70s by now. She's very sharp-minded. She's very in charge of herself. She's up every morning early. She's in her sauna. She's doing her exercise. She's doing her yoga. She's doing her meditation. She's very regimented, very successful actually as a business person. And she was in charge, and she's done all of her own research. And I'm like, okay, I'm supporting you, doing what you think is right for you. So I'm not going to tell someone this is wrong. I mean, if it is wrong, if I'm worried about them, I'll say this doesn't feel like, or this could be dangerous. I'll tell people that this doesn't feel right. But there's no morality. We're trying to find a way to feel good. I guess what the rub is that modern medicine tends to tell people that drugs are the solution, that pills fix you. And most of the time, that's not the case. And people want it to be the case because it's easy. I pop my pills and I'm all better. I'm perfect, But often why they come to me last because they were hoping those pills would be the solution, and they're not. I'm not getting where I want to be, taking everything that's prescribed for me or everything that I read about. Even though I did all the right things, I'm not right. I don't feel great in some way. So they come seeking something different.
So you take away the herbs, take away the pills that maybe your doctor might prescribe, and you're left with, you can only treat somebody with practices. You've already said breathing, like that's the first thing, like breathing. Are there any other modalities that you'd be like, this is my prescription to help heal you in absence of those things?
Okay. So breathing and like what you do, your nidra, or I would say conscious relaxation practice. Number one, first thing. The next thing is, well, this is hard, but I would say movement. The older I get, the more I'm like, get as strong as you can. Move your body. Don't hurt yourself, but move around, move around, move around. It helps everything. Your bone density, your heart, your immunity, your digestion, your head, your mind, your memory. Everything that is benefited by moving, please move. Find a way it's fun to move. Take a Zumba class, walk with a friend, do something, get off the couch. So I'm pretty adamant about that. And then the whole dietary thing, just the whole, we are meant to eat like whole food, plants mostly. And so just encouraging people to find their way through that.
So here at the Himalayan Institute, it is a lovely vegetarian. I mean, the food here is so good.
30 years, man. Why would I leave?
30 years of these meals. It's so good. It's interesting because it's not fancy. Like, it's not a fancy, you're kind of eating cafeteria style, but the food is so good. However, I wonder, when you are dealing with bio-individual people, is there a place for meat?
Absolutely.
Is there?
Yeah. Yeah. So Ayurveda, this place is a vegetarian place, but Ayurveda is not a vegetarian system. It says that some people actually need the density of animal products. So remember that vata thing, that windy energy? If that's too high, then meat, eggs, dairy, all those things that are heavy, they're animal based, are grounding, anchoring, fortifying. And all of us get more vatic as we age.
Was totally my next question was, is menopause, are you vata all of a
Yes,
sudden?
yes. So vata rises in transition. So vata rises from this season, from fall, from traveling, from stress, and then from aging. So, and that transition of going from, when we were kids and we went through menarche, it was like this fluctuation of hormones, and we were like, wow, this crazy teenager. And then we get in this, hopefully we get in this cycle, this rhythmic cycle through our 20s, 30s, 40s. And then it starts to do this crazy thing again. This transition is all over the map. And then we get back to these low levels of hormones that feel steady again. So that transition is all unstable. So vata rises in that transition. And that vata rising can make, if you're already vata to start with, it can be just debilitating. Like you can't find your keys and you can't sleep and you're freaking out. And I mean, it can be very, hard. And then if you're pitta, if you're more fiery, now you got this wind blowing your fire. Now you're angry and you're sweaty and oh my God, you're hot and you're bothered and testy. And then the kapha, the ones that are earthy, it's so unfair. They're like, oh, my period stopped one day. When I'm 55, when they go, because they're like heavy and enduring and earthy and like, they're Mother Earth. They don't have a lot of fluster bluster going on. So they're the ones that are like, oh, yeah, I mensed regularly until I was 53 or 55. I'm like, okay. It's so, I want to punch you. I'm not a violent person, but
No, I know.
it's like it's so unfair. But
No violence.
yeah, so if I already got some fire and wind going on, then that increase of vata at menopause is like, whoa. So back to grounding, stabilizing, and then herbs, or maybe it's HRT. It's fine. It's fine to feel like okay, I can sleep. Like the world's not ending. I'm okay. It's fine. You know, we can always change it. It's like we're in it forever. You know.
That was I remember back in school because I went to school for a year and change for health coaching. And I remember that it was a part of it. You had to go through a small Ayurvedic class. And so I went back and I did the test again and went through some of my notes and things like that. And I came up as kapha. And I was like, I don't think I'm kapha. I just don't think that I am. And I had my daughter do it and she came up as vata, right? And we're like, I don't think that she is. My lovely friend over here, she came up as pitta. And then our question came, okay, is there a better way to take this test? Should we take the test 5 times? Like, how do you really figure it out? Because I'm listening to you and I'm like, I'm totally vata.
Because don't put yourself in one bucket. You probably are all of them. To host a podcast, you have to have some kapha, grounding, able to manage lots of pieces. There's a cohesion to kapha. You look more vata, you're slender and bubbly, and enthusiastic, but you probably have all of them going on. You're sharp-minded. So you're probably tridoshic. I don't know what else is going on, but from my, initial evaluation, I would say, yeah, you probably have all of them. And people can have a strong dosha that's not apparent. Sometimes people are just what they look like. I've got this a friend who's slender, long-limbed, and kind of talkative, and a little bit spacey, and she's creative, and all kinds of like totally vata, cold and dry, and loves to go to the beach. Okay, totally vata, but not always. Someone can look a certain way and have a different kind of mindset, or it's just how we manifest these simple 3 kinds is just different. It's just it's complicated.
What about when you're trying to kind of figure out what you are, giving yourself grace, understanding that you could be multiples, but at the same time, should you be answering the question based on who you were growing up or who you are right now? For instance, I really had to dial in what I ate, my amount of exercise and sleep in order to get my body into balance. Like I really fought weight. Was very heavy set. Um, and so, and everybody's like, no, you're totally vata because you're thin. I was like, yes, but me 15 years ago and since birth was not. So do you answer the questions? Do you look at it based on who you were, who you are?
So what most matters to me as a clinician is what's out of balance right now. Doesn't really matter if we really know your true nature, but right now you can't sleep, that's vata. Or you have heartburn, that's pitta. Are you have weight gain, or you have lots of mucus congestion, that's kapha. So let's at least focus there first. So we focus on where the imbalance is, and then as you get into balance, we become maybe more clear about what's your true nature. But you're right. There is a change we go through as we go through our life. Like there's more kapha in children. Little kids are more fleshy and they drool and they're squishy and they're full of juice. They're full of water. That's more of a kaphic state, and they're growing like crazy. So that's earth, and we're all more fiery in the middle of our life. So we're all more like got to get who am I? What am I doing here? I got to make my life happen. So there's more of a pitta pushing or chutzpah in that middle part of our life. And then we're all more vata as we age. So there's that overlay of the season of life on top of our constitution. And, so many things can derange that. So if I could be a kapha, but I was born into a household of uncertainty. Maybe I live in poverty, or there's violence, or I had to move around a lot, or I wasn't safe. So I'm going to have a big vata imprint, even though it's not my nature. Right? So I tell my, I mean, I want us to begin to look at ourselves through this lens, but don't spend too much time like figuring out like, what am I? Just what's happening right now. Am I scared? Am I edgy? Am I complacent? Like, am I vata pitta kapha? Am I dry and cold? Am I hot and rashy? Am I moist and stagnant? I mean, that's way too simplified, but I mean, we can begin to identify what our tendencies are.
You have been here for 30 years. Had your son, you said your two sons, husband, everybody has lived here.
My kids grew up here. Yeah.
Wow. So some people would look at that and go, oh, then it's very easy for you to live kind of this peaceful lifestyle, to be able to have time and room to breathe and eat really good food. Somebody who's listening, who wants to get more aligned with their body and who they are and feel more like you and what you put out. What can they do when they live outside of Philadelphia
Yeah.
and aren't
Yeah.
at a place like the Himalayan Institute their entire life?
How was I living? Um, yeah, this place. Well, you can come live here for a month if you want to just get away from your life. You can come live here.
Yes, please.
Um, it's called the Saver Program. It's a work study. But you know, I feel like food. This place provides food. I feel like food is our like health insurance here. We don't have money, other benefits, but we have food. I think people tend to live here long and pretty healthy because they have the environment and the good food. But out in the world, all you can do is all you can do. Take a look at your current pace. Like how am I doing with myself? If you're working 80 hours a week, good luck with that. It's um, you have to carve out for yourself how am I doing my food? How do I do that? Do I cook on the weekends? I used to do that. I used to make a casserole on the weekend. I'd make a huge pot of soup and freeze it in smaller pieces in my freezer. I mean, I used to have to think about that before I moved here. Like attention to, and then some days it was like, okay, a 7-layer burrito at Taco Bell. That's all I can do today. At some point you have to bless it and eat it. Like, this is what God gave me today. It's all I can do. It's fine. And not worry too much. There's that whole, that new eating disorder, that orthorexia, where people are so stressed out about every little thing being perfect. So that's not good. So do your best you can with getting, vegetables and plants into your diet, and then try again, in whatever, next week, next month, like keep trying to get it to be good. And then same thing with exercise, sleep. You know, eh, I have a 24-year-old son who doesn't have a routine. And um I have to like let him just figure it out, kind of bumble around until he figures out what makes him happy. Cause that's what we're after. It is not please your mom here. It's like figure out what makes you feel good, both physically, mentally, energetically, and that's really what we're coming around to. I mean, and there are periods of time when I've had it so together, I'm up early, I'm working out, and then, I go visit my parents for a week or travel, and then it all unwinds and I have to rebuild it again and then I got injured and I had to like, change my schedule. And, so things happen, but the ideal of schedule that I know it sounds so boring, but schedules really help us to have like a routine because of that concept of decision fatigue. If I have to decide every day, okay, when am I gonna whatever fit in exercise? When am I gonna what am I gonna eat today? If I just had to plan forget it. I'm not gonna do it, or I'm gonna just make do with whatever a drive through. I'm gonna make do with. I'm not gonna exercise today. It's too much to decide So if you have a routine, at least for this week, how are you getting these basic needs met this week? You can always change it next week. But at least this week, just have a plan for yourself. So you don't have to think about it every day, every minute. It's so many things to decide. So yeah, I don't have any great hacks other than be loving to yourself and turn toward yourself. Look, like my husband and I used to sit down on Sunday night every week when we first got married and said, okay, what's the week like? What have I committed to? Where's the good stuff going to fit? Where's my relaxation? Where's my walk? Where are the things that matter in my life fit in this week. Every week. And then you go, well, that didn't go so well. I mean, I make a plan and then we reassess the next week and say, well, this one worked, but I didn't do that so well. And then you get to brainstorm it. How could I make that be better? Not give up, but how can I fit that in some other place? If it didn't fit in the afternoon, maybe it's better in the morning, or didn't fit in the morning, maybe it's before I go to bed, or like, how do I juggle these things that are important? You just have to keep like hanging on to prioritize them, because your health matters. So you got to prioritize yourself.
I love it. Make a routine. Make a routine. Schedule it. I say that all the time. Love it. Love yourself. Breathe. Breathe. Make it, and whole foods from quality soil, and keep moving. Yeah, there really is.
Again, and what's great is that people feel better when they do that. like you really do heal from. I mean, I've seen people heal from things they weren't supposed to heal from just by doing basic stuff like that, and maybe some herbs or some breathing practice or some just support. So great.
And I would say, come visit.
Thank you.
Come visit. Take a weekend. And if it's not the Himalayan Institute, which I highly recommend, it's find the time and the places where you can get back connected to your body, where you're not worried about sucking in your stomach, where you're breathing, where you're eating quality food, where you have the time to do things like yoga and relationships. So schedule that as well. Dr.
Exactly.
Carrie, you're just it just feels so good to be in your presence. And I know it's no coincidence given this place and where we are, but thank you so much for what you're doing. And I think it's so important to be able to bring in, modern medicine and Western medicine with Ayurvedic and all of the different important things that you're teaching people. So thank you so much for being with us.
I feel blessed by what I do.
It's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up on the next episode of StRest, we're going to go back to the mouth and how that is impacting the rest of the body in mid-age, but also how it might be impacting your fertility. We're going to talk about the one super easy test that you can take that happens to be done with your saliva to tell you things like whether or not you have a problem getting pregnant and staying pregnant, can also talk to you about your risk factors for dementia and so much more. I wish that more doctors were talking about this. We're also going to talk about the biggest signs that you might have sleep apnea. And did you know that one of the largest categories of people who are at risk for this is very thin middle-aged women? We're going to be talking to Katie Lee, DDS. She is a doctor, not only a dentist, but also a functional and integrative doctor who is going to give you all the information you need about maybe your problems are coming from what's going on in your mouth. That's coming up on the next episode of StRest. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help others find the podcast and join our community. Follow me on social media at Kerstin.Lindquist for daily tips and inspiration. And visit my website at www.Kerstin-Lindquist.com to sign up for our newsletter and receive exclusive content. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition. The host of this podcast is a certified health coach and medical researcher, not a licensed medical professional, and the content shared does not constitute medical advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, we encourage you to do your own research and consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your healthcare treatment plans. Thank you for joining me on this journey to reduce stress and make room for rest. Remember, you're not alone. Keep coming back, share your story, ask for help, and give yourself grace.